Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the More Than Social podcast. I am super grateful that you have decided to tune in from wherever you are listening, whether that's in your car, on a walk, in your office, wherever you are right now. Thank you so much for being here. Today, I have my husband, Bryan, joining us. Hey, Bri.
Hey babe, how's it going?
Good, good. I am super excited to have you on. And before we dive into all the things that we already talked about, let's just give our listeners a quick little update or catch them up to speed, even to who you are and why it's important that my husband's on here right now. So let me just give you a quick little backstory. He is my husband, my high school sweetheart, but he is also a part of our agency. We run our business together. Bryan, how many years has it been since you've been a part of the agency?
I started part-time about 6 years ago, but I'm full-time. This has been my gig, helping you, right-hand man, here for 4 years now.
Amazing, amazing. So it's crazy how quickly things have gone. I remember when Bryan first started to, I'm going to say work for me, but first started helping out in the agency. I didn't think that we would get to the spot where he could be 100% full time. And now 4 years later, here we are. So that's incredible. One thing I really wanted to talk about, and the reason why I wanted to bring Bryan on, is because we are mastering running an agency. We are running a business at the same time as having work-life balance, at the same time as raising a daughter who is 1 year old. And it's a lot. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I know so many entrepreneurs struggle with work-life balance, and it is so much easier said than done. I get it. But I wanted to share with you, and I wanted Bryan to share with you kind of what we do on an every single day basis to be able to do what it is that we do. So, Bri, let's kick it off. Work-life balance. If you could give one tip to an entrepreneur who has been in the grind for a little bit, they are trying to do all the things, they're wearing all the hats in their business, and they really want to grow, but they also want to have a good life. They want to be able to travel, have a family, all the things. What is that one piece of advice that you would give someone?
Don't try to do too much. I mean, like everything takes time. Everyone wants to grow extremely large and scale at rapid rates, but just take your time and make sure you prioritize your health and your family first. Like for us personally, like we've both been very dedicated to our fitness routine. We get up, and especially since having Maddie now, we've kind of really got it into a good routine of, it's the first thing we do in the morning. So we go to a local gym. I go at 6:30. Lisa goes at 9, or vice versa, depending on the day. But that's basically the first thing we do every day before we open a computer, answer an email, whatever. Right? We make sure we prioritize that, and then obviously family too. This last year, raising Maddie, growing the business, running the business, day-to-day operations. It's been an extreme challenge, but one that we've been super grateful to have, and we've been, I'd say, doing pretty good at adjusting, especially in these later months now that she's so active. We're working a lot in the evenings. So that comes into the work-life balance and finding, fitting that into our schedule. So for like in the past, obviously, we wouldn't work into the evenings unless we were desperate and we were needed to a big project or just too much on our plate that we had to utilize that time. But now it's become more of spend the time we have with Maddie during the day, and when she's active and wants to go outside and go to the park or whatever, like let's make sure we're available for that. And if that means we work a couple extra hours in the evening, so be it. We'll get that done.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm super fortunate. I know we're both super fortunate to be able to be home and be present with Maddie. Like she's having a nap right now while we're recording this episode. So we're fitting it all in. But it really comes down to, in my opinion, is utilizing the time that you have wisely. And I think that's something that I really had to learn. I feel like you were always better at this than I was. I am that type of person. When I have projects to do, when I have a boatload to do, and my to-do list is never ending, I am that type of person. I'm like, okay, let's lock myself in a room and I will work and work and work and work until it's all done. But the thing is, it's never actually done. So one thing I've had to learn is, how do you balance that workload, but also really give yourself that time to be a present parent. And that was super important to us, is being able to say, okay, we're going to shut our computers for the next couple hours. We're going to take her to the park. And I think that's something that people either don't understand how we can do that during the day, or they don't allow themselves to have the time to do it. So you said that we're working at nighttime, and some people are like, well, I don't want to work at nighttime. That's not how I want to spend my evenings. But it's work-life balance doesn't mean you have to work 9 to 5 and then live the rest of your time living your life. For me, that means, how do you balance all the things that you want to do and fit everything into that same 24 hours that we all have?
Yeah, exactly. Like you need to be a little selfish, and like we're both, like I said, we talked about earlier, is dedicated to our fitness. So like going to the gym, daily routine is just, it's not a non-negotiable for us. But we both love to golf as well, and golf is not something that you can just take an hour and you go get your round in. It's 4 hours plus you got to travel and you stay for a bite to eat and socialize, but whatever, and it can take a whole day. But you gotta, as the saying goes, make hay while the sun shines. The golf season's so short as it is, and you and I like to play once a week or once every 2 weeks. Call it. Since Maddie's been around, that's dropped off a little bit, but we make time. So we'll shut down early in an afternoon and get our golf in, and we'll stay up a little later to finish what we have to do for work. But I think we're also very fortunate in the business that we're in, that if we do something at 6 in the morning or at 6 at night, it doesn't really matter for our clients in particular. Like if they're getting it that day, it doesn't matter what time they get it that day. For a couple exceptions, obviously, if we have a live webinar or something like that taking place, those are non-negotiable. But you know, I also find that personally we're very disciplined in making sure that we do stay on top of things. We're very organized and with our to-dos and stuff. But in the same time, if I was giving advice, like be a little selfish and make sure you're taking that time for yourself, for your family, to make sure you don't forget about the extracurriculars in your life that make you who you are. For me, it's golf, hockey, fishing, etc. For you, it's the
Mm-hmm.
gym, cooking, friends, hiking, traveling, boating, right? Like those things gotta be a part of your life. Else the business, there's no point of having the business if you're just working to drain yourself.
Can I just say that you said cooking? You do most of the cooking, so that's not on my top list, but funny that you said that.
Maybe
I could,
baking. I should have
yeah.
mentioned said bacon.
I guess I could also comment about the whole golf taking all day versus just an hour hobby. Before I got into golf, that was not my favorite thing. But, anyways, positive note. So, you mentioned a couple non negotiables for us. If you're listening to this and you're like, I don't care to work out, that's not my thing, just whatever it is that you want to do, at the end of the day, it's making sure that you're organizing your week or setting a schedule, that you are planning those non negotiables. So, I am a big planner, type A personality all the way through. So I like to make sure I know exactly what I have to do and when I'm going to do it. So every single Sunday, it seems to be as of right now, but I'm trying to shift this to every single Friday. What I do is I go through everything that I have to do from a work standpoint, and I write it all down. I go through every single thing that I want to do from a personal standpoint. So when am I going to the gym? When am I seeing my friends? When am I seeing my family? That type of stuff. What appointments do I have? I write that all down. And then I physically am planning out my entire week. So I know exactly what is happening, but also that tells me what time or what blocks are still available for me to fill in with other things. Now, not every single person likes to be jam packed throughout the entire week. I totally get that. It's nice to have those days where you don't have anything planned, but from what I've found over the last year being an entrepreneur, when you have a constantly growing business, you can always find something to do. You can always be working on a project or working on your business. Like there's always something to do. So, how do you actually shut it off? I find having that plan and sticking to that plan and don't add anything to it as the week comes, it is going to help you not only feel accomplished, because we all know checking something off our to-do list is just something that satisfies us, but also just making sure that, so when you don't add anything to it, you have that things that are getting done from a work standpoint, but you also have scheduled in all this personal stuff. So that just helped me a lot, just because of the type of person that I am, that I can just keep going and going and going. I will really quickly push away my personal stuff to focus on my business. And obviously at a certain point, you're going to experience burnout. You're not going to be enjoying the life that you're building. And we got into our business in the first place to be able to design our life and be able to live a certain lifestyle. So it's I get it's this teeter-totter balancing act. Just when you plan it in or schedule it in, that works extremely, extremely well for me. And you
Yeah.
don't do that too much, right, Bri?
Yeah, I mean, I do to a certain point. Like I use my calendar to like make sure I have all the big things, but I don't maybe use it as in depth as you, penciling in every little thing. But I have a pretty good idea of what I'm accomplishing or what I'm going to set out to do in a day the night before. Like, regardless how busy I am, regardless of what I'm doing, what time I get home and get settled, like, I always kind of review my calendar for the next day, make sure if I've got an appointment, I'm prepared for it. If I got to be somewhere, my golf clubs are nice and shiny and ready to go, or whatever. I'm always ahead and, make sure I know what I'm eating in the day too. There's nothing stresses me out more than having an empty fridge and starving and not eating. Then you resort to junk food or fast food, whatever. So I like to try to stay on top of that. But kind of just going back to your other point of shutting down in the evenings and stuff like that, like it's extremely, can be extremely hard to do, but it brings up the importance of having a good support team, which like this is the stage of our business that we've been in and really trying to grow on in the last year and a bit, especially, as we were preparing for birth of our child. And now, especially in the last year that she's been here, our time as, that we can spend working has really dwindled because we got some bigger responsibilities now. So we've grown our team. We've got three team members on board now and are working and have been great for us. And this just really allowed us to kind of free up stuff like that time in the evening, when we don't want to be, or we've set our week up and then stuff's coming up on top of that. It's nice to just have that support team to kind of help out with not only like the big projects, but the tedious tasks too that take a lot of time that we're just sitting there doing something repetitive that, don't necessarily want to be doing, or it's taking time away from our family, spending our time with our family. So
Yeah,
try
I
to
think
get
that's a
yourself a
good
real
point.
good support team and, make sure they're up to your standards, but then let them run with it, right? Like you gotta spread your wings and fly sometimes, and just trust that your team's gonna be good.
Well, actually, I just did an episode right before this, which obviously that talks about hiring the team and the struggles that we had to go through. But I think that also has a huge impact on having that work-life balance is having that support team. Like Bryan said, we have grown our team. We've added those 3 additional team members to be able to help us in so many different ways. But even on top of that, like having Bryan as my right hand man in everything to do with life, like not every single person has that ability or even wants to work with their spouse. So that is a whole other topic, which we actually got into on another episode. But I know I could not do what I do without him. I know that I could not do what I do without our team. And I owe them that because that has given me some more time to be a present mom. And that is something that I really, really wanted for both of us. I wanted us to be able to be present parents, but without the team, we wouldn't be able to either give our clients the experience that we try to give them every single month and every single project that we do with them, get the results, of course, that we are always striving to achieve, but also just be able to grow and help make a bigger impact on the industry and help even more entrepreneurs really take their business to that level. And one thing that we didn't mention from a support side of things is the automation. So I am a huge geek with automation. I like as soon as someone talks to me about their business growth, I'm already like, okay, they can do this and this and this. But the automation that we have set up, yes, it's not like 100% automated. It's not to say that we don't do any work. Like we work our asses off, but we have automation set up that do alleviate some tedious tasks. Even just like when someone books an appointment, having all those reminders going out, or when someone signs a new agreement with us and they're starting on a new project, we have specific automations that will send out an email to them to get them to book an appointment. It sends out their questionnaires for them to fill out about their project. It sends Bryan an email to get started on the next step within their project. Like we have these little things that we've set up that I feel like our clients have a lot more set up than us, to be completely honest, because that's always just the way that it happens when you run your own business. Your stuff gets a little bit at the ends of the to-do list, but the automations that we do have set up is incredible. And I think that
They're where
alone,
allow us to scale, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It allows
because
us to scale,
we
but
couldn't take on the amount of work that we do, or perform at the rates that we do, or this, perform the and get the results that we do at the speeds that we do without being able to like without having that.
no, absolutely. So if you're thinking right now, like, how do you do all this? Like, I know we're just kind of chatting and throwing a lot at you, but having the team, knowing when it's the right time to scale, you don't have, or hire a team member, I should say, you don't have to wait until you're already so busy. If you're just looking for more time back in your day, maybe hiring a VA to take on a couple hours a week for you to do tedious things. Or actually, one thing that we do with one of our team members, or more so what I've done with one of our team members, is I've given her tasks that I've been wanting to do a lot in our business, but we just haven't had the time to. So even if you have these big goals that you're trying to achieve with working on your business, having that team member support you in that way could even be something good if you don't necessarily need the help with inside your business at this point. But long story short, there's always ways that you can find that balance. Is just a matter of, one, being clear of what you want that life to look like. I think that's actually something that is really important, is knowing how do you want to spend your days. And for me, I don't want to spend my days locked in my office working 24/7, not seeing my daughter. Like, that's just not what I want. I wanted to be able to wake up and do certain things. So understanding how you want your day to look like, and then designing either the support or your business or your growth even around that, I think is also super important. And not to go on a tangent, but one other thing that is really just standing out to me is being really proactive with your time, like using the time that you have even available wisely. Like, we are doing our podcast interview right now while our daughter is sleeping. We only have, I don't know, maybe an hour right now at this point in the afternoon nap that she's going to be sleeping for. So we got to get things done. We got to be proactive. We got to be efficient even in the time that we have when we're not with our daughter or doing other things. So just using your time super wisely.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you, right? It's up to you to be proactive and stay on top of things because we're all busy. Everyone can use the excuse that they're busy. You know,
Mhm.
uh, us especially, I feel like we're swamped. I'm sure I can speak on a lot on most people out there, but like I just feel like we're always on the go, always doing something. But if you have goals, you have visions and dreams you want to get to, they're not going to get there. Things aren't just going to get done on their own, right? So we got to, especially this last year with Maddie, it's taught us that our free time is not really free. It's downtime to focus on other things, like you said, working on our own business, like growing stock media, and not necessarily working on our clients' projects, but like how do we things just we wanted to do on or inside of our own business that take time, and no one ever has time, but we are super disciplined. We get up early and stay up late if needed, right? And just
Mhm.
it's on you as an entrepreneur to stay disciplined and stay focused on the target and just keep going.
Yeah, yeah. Discipline definitely has a huge thing for it. But even just reminding yourself, and I mentioned this earlier, work life balance means something to everyone. Like, it means something different to everyone. It's, for me,
Yeah.
it's giving me that ability to be able to work out at 9 a.m. or noon or whenever it's going to be, or have the ability to go out for lunch or go for appointments, but I'll work that evening. Like, to me, it's the flexibility that it gives me, but also obviously you need to have those boundaries. But one thing that we just have to be super clear on is, some days we're grinding all day long. There absolutely are days where we're up first thing in the morning, the first thing we're on our computer and we're working until we go to bed. Like, there's just those days. It depends on what's happening within the business. It was 2 days ago, actually, one of our automations for our clients just completely disappeared. The whole system just disappeared. So that's like, all right, let's drop everything. I'm not going to the park right now. I actually have to fix this. So there is that as well. But then there also are days where we've worked so hard and we worked all day the previous day. So the next day, maybe we'll stop in the middle of the afternoon and go do something. Like, it's, for me, it's that flexibility. I don't know if work life balance means something to you.
Yeah, I mean, like the timing, like that kind of fluctuates from day to day, week to week, just like you said, kind of depending on how busy we are, what's going on. Some days are a little bit more flexible than others. But yeah, it's the flexibility. It's scheduling a dentist appointment at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. and not worrying about, I got to book a half day off, or I'm not going to get paid this afternoon because now I got to go to the dentist. Like, or, just odds and ends. Sometimes I'll go to the grocery store Tuesday afternoon instead of, the typical Sunday morning, like everyone does. And it's just, that's what I've really appreciated more, or, the occasional round of golf that I'll play during the week or whatever, that somebody asks you the night before and it's like, oh no, sorry, I work. It's okay. Yeah. I have a meeting. Maybe Lisa can take the meeting, or, I had some stuff on my plate, but I'll stay up tonight and I'll get that done before so I can be available. Right. Like that's the thing that's most important to me, and working 10 feet from the fridge and always having access to food.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true too. Okay, so let's just to wrap this up, I think from if I remember correctly, everything that we kind of touched on here is making sure that you set your priorities, but also set boundaries. When things are done, they are done. Making sure that you have that support team, whether that is from a technical side of things and you have the automation, a team member, or even just a sidekick or a partner like we have. And then also just making sure that you're proactive with your time, making sure that you're using your time really, really wisely and focus on those big things that you need to get done. Don't worry about all your notifications. Actually, before we go, I need to talk about this. All of your notifications that you have on your project management system, on your phone, on your emails, like I will get through my emails sometimes. I'll go to the gym and then I'll come back and I have 40 more emails. I'm like, how? I just got through them all. So those notifications, I put my phone on silent all the time. Some of my clients will tell you, they'll call me and it goes right to voicemail. And I won't notice until that evening when I turn my phone off of silent. Like those are the days where I'm like, I need to get stuff done. I need to not be distracted. Like just let me focus on this. Those notifications you have on your emails that are popping up that have the 40 something or hundreds of something, those are only going to cause more stress. So turn off your notifications. Just turn them off. One good practice to get into, check them in the morning, the first thing, see if there's anything urgent. Check them maybe at lunchtime and check them right before your workday ends or when your clients' workdays end. So for me, I try to answer everyone before 5 o'clock just to keep that 9 to 5 mentality in a kind of way, but then I don't answer them throughout the evening, even though I actually am working. So just remember those notifications are distracting and they're pulling you away from the work that you actually have to do. So when you have that block of time available, really focus on the things that you actually have to do. Forget the notifications, forget everything else, just get stuff done. Anything to add to that, Bryan?
Yeah, I think you may have touched on this in a previous one, but just kind of where you're going there is like your big three, right? Like you do this more than I do, but you said it like every night before, the night before each workday, I should say, you set your big three. Okay, I know I got to do this, I got to do this, and I got to do that. And those are your focuses. And then if you get those done, or when you get those done, it's saying, okay, let me now browse through my emails. Now let me see if I can squeeze in one or two little more things today. And if not, you just feel proud and accomplish what you got done. Set aside the rest of that time for your family, for your personal hobbies, etc. And then reschedule or re-look back at things that evening and get yourself set up for the next day, right? Like then, okay, these are my next big three or four, two, whatever, like whatever it is that you can fit into your day. But because we're always full of tedious tasks and things that we want to do, right? So we you especially again have gotten into the routine of prioritizing your big three, and kind of anything else on top of that in the day is a bonus.
Yeah, and I actually got that from Michael Hyatt. I got his journal, and that's just how he broke it down, and it really, really helped me. So if you are someone who's looking for some productivity tips, big three items, not big, like little three items. It's not fold the laundry, do the dishes, answer my emails. It's
I wish.
focus on this one project, like focus on building this webinar funnel, whatever it's going to be for you, like big chunks. And then you focus your full attention on each chunk at a time. Another thing, just from a mental standpoint for me that I do, after I finish one of those things, I'll get up, I'll go see my daughter, I'll get a drink, I'll go outside, whatever I need to do just to kind of detach for 10 minutes even, and then I'll come back. Some people may argue that you actually get more distracted when you leave, but for me, just to refresh my mind, it's something that I personally need. Or just hammer it out, get through all your three. If you can get it done in a couple hours, great, you have the rest of the day. Now, if you can give one piece of advice, Bri, for work-life balance, and it could be something that we've already discussed today, but what is that one piece of advice that you would give a fellow entrepreneur to have more work-life balance in their life?
Just make sure you be selfish. Make sure you prioritize the things outside of work that are important to you, that make you who you are. Because if you don't have those, like I said earlier, it just like doesn't really make sense to work so hard and you can have all the money in the world that you want, but if you're working so constantly that you literally can't find a way to play around a golf, or take your daughter to the park, or et cetera, right? Go on that family trip you've been talking about for years, and what is the point? So be a little selfish. Things cost money, but schedule them in, make sure you get them done, and then stay super disciplined and make sure that you take care of the things that are important with work that allow that lifestyle for you personally, right?
Yeah. I think my biggest piece of advice I would give for that work-life balance is not to wait. I feel
Yeah.
like I waited too long for that support. I waited too long for growing the team. I waited even too long just to realize that it's okay for me to actually go and live my life and do other things. Like, we get so caught up in the grind, we get so caught up in all the things that we need to do. And if you're like me and you're a people pleaser, it doesn't help you, and eventually you will hit that burnout. So don't wait, do it. If you're already stressed or complaining that, oh, I don't have time for that, when am I going to find that time in my day? Like, take that as your sign to do it now. You may have a little bit of a setback from a financial standpoint to be able to hire someone, but that additional time is either going to give you more freedom in your actual life or going to help you actually hit those next levels within your business. So don't wait, just do it. But thank you so much, Bri, for joining me here today. It's fun to show you kind of the behind the scenes of what we do, but also how we manage being parents, running an agency, living our life, still doing our thing. So thank you so much. I appreciate it, Bri.
My
And for
pleasure.
everyone
Anytime.
listening, if you guys have any questions, if you just want to reach out to us, if you're struggling in any capacity with work-life balance, or even just if you're curious to know what it's like to work with your partner, we did do an episode on that, so we can share that in the notes section for you. But thanks so much for hanging out with us today. We will see you next week, or at least I will see you next week. Bye for now.